Coming up on Man Enough, my heart is racing. I, too, had been molested for many years of my life.
I think that it's very important for people who have been through experiences like us to see, there's moments of happiness ahead. Making this documentary, we were able to unseal letters of support.
Have any of them apologized to you?
One of the reasons we started this podcast is because we wanted to have very honest conversations.
I have to take accountability for the choices that I've made and make amends as well.
Where'd you go wrong?
Some people have said, it was a moment of weakness. Even in moments of weakness, you need to be able to discern and recognize.
Are people thinking that you are using your trauma and abuse to come back?
Now that you've shared outside of your safe world to the world that will throw you away, how do you feel now that you've let it out?
Being man enough, what does that mean?
It's really manly to mess up, admit you're wrong, and then grow.
I couldn't accept that I was evil. So maybe I'm broken, but those broken things could be corrected.
Intimacy between a father and a son is me just wanting to put my head in your lap.
I love you, son.
You haven't called me benevolent sexist, but my experience is women are better.
Even if it's a positive, it's still not equality.
I don't blame men for that. I just blame the system.
This
Is
Man enough.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Man Enough podcast. I'm Jamey Heath.
I'm Liz Plank.
Hi Liz.
Hi.
Oh wait, should we intro the show or should we?
That we have a special guest.
Excuse me, Justin?
Do you remember
Do you remember how
this?
to bring us into the show? Why don't you try it?
my heart is beating so fast right now. I'm like, what am I? Is this?
He became really good at it. He kind of stole your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it's true. All the fan mail is all for Jamey.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Same with mine.
Justin, bring us in. Tell us.
No, I think you just did.
Do you remember how to do it?
No.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Man Enough podcast. I'm Drake Bell. I'm here with my good friends, and we're about to get into it.
I love that.
Oh man, I've just been replaced
You've been
again.
replaced yet again.
Oh, it's good to be back. And well, now you know who's our guest today.
Yeah.
We have a sweet, wonderful, special guest with us, Drake Bell. And of course, we're really pleased. And I think we're just jumping in, but my heart is racing because we're going to have a conversation. I hope that illuminates a lot of what's hidden in our world and your bravery to talk about it, and also all sides of life that maybe we can get into. So welcome to the show, and thank you for being here
thank you
with
guys
us.
for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
And with that, Liz,
Yes.
who's Drake?
Drake Bell is an American actor, musician, and voice actor best known for his role as Drake Parker in the hit Nickelodeon series Drake and Josh. He started his career in the early 90s, showcasing a wide range of talents from a really young age. And beyond television, Bell has established a successful music career as a guitarist, singer, songwriter. You've released several amazing albums. And recently you were featured in the documentary series Quiet on Set, which has garnered 16 million views. It explores the topic of really atrocious abusive behavior allegedly occurring behind the scenes at Nickelodeon. And for the first time, Bell openly discussed the severe abuse that he suffered as a child actor. He now lives in Mexico City. We're all very jealous. And you just released a hit new song called I Kind of Relate that really shares this personal experience as a survivor of sexual abuse. So we have so much to talk about with you. Thank you so much for coming in with us this morning.
Well, why don't we start, Justin? Do you remember our first question that we ask our guests?
Yeah. Drake, when was the last time you didn't feel enough?
What time is it?
Great. Yeah.
That's a difficult question. That's the first one? All right. Does it get easier from here? I think it's a moment by moment thing where sometimes you feel like you are doing as much as you can, but it's difficult because we have so many things going on in our lives, whether it's family or work or just your mind and personal thoughts. So it's kind of it's a hard question to answer because it's a constant evolution of, I don't know really how to answer that.
Have you ever felt enough? Is that why that's a hard, a challenging question?
Um,
And by the way, everyone who comes on the show is like this morning or 5 minutes ago or
Yeah,
sitting
I
down
mean,
on the
that's
set,
a
right?
that's a tough
It's a
question.
very common.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's maybe that's a something we get out of being entertainers and getting those moments of, you know, like you're making a movie right now. It's like, maybe like when you finish that movie, you feel accomplished. You feel like a sense of accomplishment. You feel like, oh wow, okay, I put everything into this, and there's there's something gonna be released at the end of it, and I'll be able to look back and go, oh wow, okay, But then once that time is over, it's like, okay, well now what do I? That's a tough question to kind of process when there's so much going on mentally, and your thoughts are always racing. To really like live in the moment and say, okay, right now where I'm at in this moment, is everyone healthy? Am I happy? Am I doing what I can to be the best that I can be and the best for others? And then that moment passes and you're in another, like, what's going on,
Can I ask you a different question then?
Yeah,
Since that one's
sure.
hard. What are you feeling right now?
A lot of anxiety. It's a really emotional time right now, and I feel like it's an emotional roller coaster. I mean, like I said, it's moment, moment by moment, and there's like waves of anxiety and then waves of tranquility, and like a weight's been lifted, and then back to anxiety. It's
And right
it's
now,
a roller coaster.
like literally right now.
Right now,
Yeah. Let's just simplify everything.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel my phone vibrating. No, sorry.
Must
I
be
always
happening a lot.
have to go to like when things get a little like I always have to grab the low hanging fruit of a joke to kind of
Yeah.
lighten the mood.
Mhm.
But right now I feel like in this moment, sitting at this table,
Mhm.
a little anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got 3 people that have probably a lot of questions in their
Yeah.
minds, and
Can I?
how to.
Thank you though. Thank you for
Yeah,
thank you for
yeah.
yeah.
I can understand why you're feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who are listening, let me just set, if you don't mind, let me set a stage a little bit, because I
Yeah.
think there's many that may not know. You are right now, currently, there is a show on Max called Quiet on the Set, which is about things that were happening on the Nickelodeon show behind the scenes, inappropriate behavior towards children. And you are a big part of this story. As Liz had mentioned in our opening, you were molested, raped, abused by an adult for a good portion of your teenage life. You acknowledged it then, not at first, you were trapped, as you say, but eventually acknowledged it to the point that that individual was then convicted. Your testimony, your history had been corroborated and acknowledged that this in fact was true. Of course it was. Now, a lot has happened since then. Now, for the first time, because it was sealed and you were a minor, it's becoming known that the person that was convicted was as a result of what happened to you.
Yeah.
So you are in the line of fire right now.
Yeah.
Your every move and every day right now is fresh wounds. And from what I understand, as someone, and I won't get into my whole story on this, but just so that people know that I too had been molested for many years of my life and didn't really deal with it until I was an adult. And when I finally dealt with it as an adult, it broke me. And I relived it. And I felt anxiety and afraid. And how was I being viewed? And will people believe me? And was I being blamed for being a part of it?
Mm-hmm.
And then my behavior as a man, how that shifted. So there's so much I imagine you're in. So I'm understanding why you have anxiety.
Yeah. And I there's other things that through the process of the documentary came to light, which is a whole other bag to unpack and more to process that I was unaware of previously. For example, I was going through Hollywood for so many years thinking, okay, there's bad actors. Well, obviously there's bad actors. But there's people at play in this industry that are dangerous and you need to watch out for. But in my mind, that exists everywhere. I mean, you could go to karate class. It could be at a school. It could be at any institution, any job, anywhere. And so my feeling was that it was there's isolated individuals to watch out for. But through the process of making this documentary, we were able to unseal letters of support that my abuser received on his behalf, and that were turned over to the judge. And that's new information for me. People who I trusted, I looked up to, I were in positions of power over me: directors, producers, writers, actors. Some that I thought were friends, some that I went on to work with later. For example, on my series, Drake and Josh, who I went through life never knowing that they had penned these letters. And reading the letters was, I mean, just completely re-traumatizing. I mean, seeing the names and what they wrote was just unbelievable. I mean, saying things like, we're aware of the charges, but we would be more than happy to recommend him for work, and I'd be honored to work with him again. People saying that right now I would hire him to work with children. That's how comfortable I feel with him. And a lot of people saying, well, I felt he always made me feel comfortable. He never made me feel in a certain way. And I'm like, well, yeah, you guys were a bunch of adults that were like in positions of power over him as well. I mean, it's not like he's going to take that risk. I don't know.
Have any of them apologized to you? Because some of these are public people.
There's been a couple of public statements. No one's reached out personally, but there's been a few.
Nobody?
Personally? No. That wrote the letters? No.
And even, so they made public statements, but they didn't reach out to you personally?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
I mean, they kind of, even though they are apologies in a sense, they kind of mirror what was written in the letters, except saying things like, oh, had we known the details, or we weren't aware of all of the facts, or, we were told it happened and that he was going to take responsibility for it, but we didn't know the extent, or we didn't know the details. And I'm like, what? Did you need to know if it was day or night? Did you need to know what color the couch was? I mean, what details would have changed your thought process at that time to write a letter in support of somebody who had admitted to what he did? And even the fact that in your letter you say, I'm aware of the charges, but how do you then put out an apology that says, oh, had we known, when you literally say,
you knew,
I'm aware of the charges.
So the betrayal feels, it extends beyond just the one that abused you, but then
that's
you feel betrayed.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. And that's all new to me. So it's hard. And there were some people that I saw in those letters that I expected to have written letters. So they didn't come as a surprise to me. But there were a few that I couldn't even believe it. It just didn't feel real that
you thought that they had your back.
Yeah. And I thought that they had my back. I thought they were friends. There's people that I had worked with in the future, and people who I saw not too long ago that hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Oh, all right. Yeah, I miss you. love to work again, with you again. And how's everything going? Just the way I mean, you're in
Yeah.
LA and you know how it goes, and you reminisce and everything's cool. And then you get a stack of letters on your lap, and your just mind is completely blown, and
Mhm.
your whole reality just completely just shatters.
So I'd love to know. We have this show, which is called Man Enough. Part of what Justin is really good at and what he wanted to do was have a place that we can talk to men about our growth, our challenges, our pain, so we can heal, so we can be better for ourselves, and then obviously ultimately better for humanity. And the only way to do that is to really have real conversations, not just surface conversations, one like we're having now. With that, can you share with us, there are so many boys and girls, but specifically about boys because you yourself were a boy. And there's a different, in my experience, shame that comes with boys versus girls, equally horrific, but a different process for boys when we are raped and molested. So when you have now come out to talk about it, what is it? Why now? What's the purpose of you sharing it? Was it on the heels of Nickelodeon or this documentary happening and they reached out to you, or were you already in the process? Why now in your 30s now is this coming up? And what are you hoping this does for you or heals for you?
Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, there does seem to be a stigma of people feeling that there's a difference there, but I think that we're all human, and everyone processes trauma and reactions to people sharing their trauma differently. Like I was saying earlier, I might crack jokes and I might because that helps me not collapse, and someone else might cry and someone else might get angry, so we're all dealing with this, but what we all share is these traumatic experiences affect everything that we do in our lives. It affects our families, it affects the people around us, it affects how we treat others, it affects our choices moving forward in the future.
If you don't mind me, there's someone right now listening,
Yeah.
a man your age or around, who's been abused, who's not shared it, who might now because you have been speaking about it. And so what got you to this point compared to 5 years ago, 3 years ago?
I had a son, and I think that had a lot to do with it. My ex-wife, unfortunately, we are separated, but I think that she was a big catalyst. She helped me through everything. When I was at my lowest, she really picked up all the pieces and made sure that I could continue working. And I mean, she even moved into taking over all of the business aspects of everything I was doing, making sure everything was handled. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't had her support and her grace and her strength. That played a big role. And I think I got to a breaking point. I was going down a really bad path with drugs, alcohol, the way that I was treating others, taking everything out on other people, not being accountable for my actions, blaming others. And I finally had nowhere else to turn, and I checked myself into rehab. And I felt I was going to rehab because, okay, I'm abusing my body, and this is not going to be a good ending. So I have to remove myself from my living situation. I have to go somewhere different. I just wanted to go away. But when I got into rehab, it was a really intense facility. And I went through a lot of grief counseling and trauma therapy and group therapy and one-on-one. I mean, it was all day. And I was unearthing all of these things that I never talked about, not only never talked about with strangers, but even with people I was close to, had never gotten that deep about things that I've experienced and things that have happened and things that have been a result of what has happened. And I was around so many people who, for the first time, had similar stories or had different kinds of trauma, but incredible trauma in their lives, and were opening up and sharing. And that was the first time that I really felt like I was in an environment that was comfortable enough to share, and felt comfortable enough around people that weren't going to judge, and that really just wanted to see you get better. And so I had been approached by the documentary prior to that, and I just was not ready at all. And I didn't know how I would ever tell my story. If I did, how, because that was something in the back of my mind forever, is, am I going to tell my story? Is this always going to be something that is just hidden in the darkness of my mind? But I'm sure, like what you just shared, you know that when you do hold all of that inside, it becomes this giant ball of just tar and sludge that just weighs you down and affects every aspect of your life. I mean, your relationships, how you respond at work, how you wake up in the morning, how do you fall asleep at night, how you navigate through the world is all dictated by what is going on inside of you that is just tearing you apart. So I kept pushing the documentary off and saying, I don't know, this isn't really, I just can't tell the whole world this. But after being in rehab for quite some time, I just started telling my story and feeling more comfortable and with a clear mind and not clouded by substances or getting depressed and then going and drinking or whatever I could get my hands on. And so for the first time, really coming face to face with everything throughout my life. So when I got out, the conversations continued about involvement in this piece, and I just started to feel a little bit more light, and the weight was sort of lifting. But like I said, it's a moment-to-moment thing, because when I finally agreed to do the documentary, I sat down and I was, this is the first time I'm going to tell this story. I mean, how am I going to say this in a way that gets the message across? And because I'm sure, like you've experienced, there's a lot that you kind of just black out, that you don't remember. And not that you don't remember it, but I think it's a defense mechanism.
Correct.
Where it's just not there until it's there again. And when it's there again and it comes back, it's like a movie. It's like a movie you've seen 1,000 times, and you can recite every line of dialogue, and you know exactly what the actors were wearing and what the scene setting was and and you can recite every line. And so even through the process of making the documentary, I was thinking, what am I doing? And then when I left, I was like, oh my, what did I do? I shouldn't have. What can of worms did I just open? What's going to happen now? What are people going to do? How is this going to affect me? And then it's like the roller coaster. It was a weight lifted. It was like, wow, that's not inside anymore. It's out there. People are going to do with my story what they will, and things will get twisted and things will get misinterpreted. But if there's people out there who, like you were saying, are listening to this podcast or are watching that documentary that says, wait a second, it's also how you then move forward and and deal with things in a healthy, safe way so that that can be motivating for others as well. We all make mistakes in our life. If we've dealt with incredible trauma, that may have led to other things that you regret or choices that you wish you could change. But if you can recognize what the nucleus is and where that's coming from, and then be able to process it, and it's always going to be a struggle. Nothing's ever going to be easy, but if you can at least process it in a healthy way and get it out from inside, then hopefully others can see that in you who have experienced the same things and say to themselves, wait a second, if I see this light in this person and this person's being able to move through this, then I don't have to, maybe I don't have to struggle and put myself through what I've been putting myself through until I'm old and gray and my life has passed me by. Like you were just showing, I don't know if you want me to share that, but you were just showing me on your phone, your son caught a fish today. Oh, this can make me cry. And it's that those moments have to be shown from someone who's experienced what you shared with us earlier. I think that it's very important for people who have been through experiences like us to see, like, there's moments of happiness ahead. There's moments of triumph ahead. There's things that you're going to be proud of ahead. And it doesn't have to be what you're feeling right now in this moment.
So what you're feeling now, don't lose that for a moment. Because I feel what's happening is you're coming into a space, and reasonably, we have learned to posture our whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to take that cape off. And when it comes off, it's important to leave it off for a moment. So what I want to just respond a little bit, and then if you would allow me to help you with some of this. I'm no expert, but I've been dealing with it for a long time. And I'm on a different, I'm past the journey you are on right now because I'm a few years removed from when I first really came out.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm so sorry. This never should have happened to you, to none of our kids. You're at this weird age of a young teenager where you're young enough to not be in control at all, and old enough to know that there's shame in this and there's consequences if I say something. What will people think of me? I won't be cool. I'll be damaged, all that. When it happens at 9, which I was also at that age too, you may not be able to really understand the impact that by saying something is going to have effect on me. So a lot of times 9 and 10-year-olds may say something more than a 13-year-old or 14-year-old would, because you're like, whoa, this is going to affect my life and hurt my parents and hurt this and all the stuff. You were in that age. It's terrible. I'm so sorry. But then you learned to conceal it. You shared to put someone away. Then you obviously continued working, continued living, going down a path that didn't serve you well, getting attached to substances and things of that nature, which is a coping mechanism because it stays inside. And then now I can see you when you talk, that you're navigating how do I frame this? How do I say this? What's going to affect me later? I have another interview to do tomorrow or such. I have my kid. How's it going to affect him? Your parents. But when I dealt with it, it came back to surface to me when the whole Michael Jackson stuff came out. The reason is because I started and my son was at the age that I was when this started with me. And every time I watched or heard something, I started screaming. I needed people to hear me. I was crying. When I watched your episode, I was on a plane on the way home from out of town, and I'm under a blanket on the plane crying because not only am I feeling for you, I'm remembering mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't leave.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to control me anymore. And the way that it doesn't control me is to talk about it and to be free about talking about it, to no longer navigate the words that I say, for you to get to a point that you can say, I was abused. This is what happened to me. It happened for this period of time. I still feel pain. I'm still learning. I fucked up my body by self-medicating and so on and so on. Will you get to a place of confidently being able to say it without shame?
Yeah.
Because you're not the one to feel shame, and to own it instead of continuing being a victim in it.
Yeah.
Which is fair, but we don't want to stay there. So I want us to also move to like a second part of you as a man now, and some of the things that you had said about like learning and choices we make and things of that nature. And I know that there's stuff out there about you that may not reflect exactly who you are and what you've been dealing with. Maybe some of it does. I don't know. I'd love for you to speak about it a little bit so that we can have a conversation. But before we get to that, now that you've shared outside of your safe world to the world that will fucking throw you away and other people will embrace you and you're like a plaything for people, how do you feel now that you've let it out, let this fucking beast out of your body? Are you happy? Are you glad that you're doing this and this journey, as hard as it will be? Are you feeling that you're finding healing?
To keep it honest, it's very scary, but at the same time, it's very freeing. And I think you put it in the you put it the right way when you say, you're in the fire, you're in the thick of it right now. But even though there's so much happening and it is on such a public stage, it's nothing compared to how I have felt in the past. And the more that I'm able to talk about it, and the more that I'm able to articulate my thoughts just for myself in my own mind, there is a big weight that has been lifted and is freeing. But not to say, because I don't want someone to feel like, oh, well, all I have to do is talk about it and then everything's okay.
Mhm.
And then I move on. Because this is going to be something that we deal with for the rest of our lives. And it's going to be a range of emotions and everything. But I think that was something also that motivated me to not just tell my story, but to get into rehab. Was not just that I was self-medicating or what have you, but was not recognizing myself. And whether it was behaviors or actions that were just so out of character for not just who I want to be or who I want the world to see me as, but who I know who I am and how I know myself, was getting really scary. And I think that was another motivation of, okay, I can either go down this path and that be the end of my story. And that's what gets to be left behind for my son, that gets to be left behind for my family. Or I can, and just use a boxing metaphor, is just to not stay down and to get back up and fight for what is important to you in your life, to fight for your family, to fight for your relationships, to fight for yourself.
Yeah.
And to finally be at peace where you do start recognizing yourself again, and you do start moving forward and making the right choices, and you do start making amends and mending relationships and learning from all of these actions that you've taken.
Tell us 3 things that you think as a result. No, I don't want to excuse it. The way that you were built and had to go through life and become the man that you became. Maybe 3 things looking back that you go, I could have done this better. And for instance, I could have not cheated on every one of my wives. I could have not slept with some of the wives of my closest people in my life because of the boundaries for me. I could have not done that. Should have not. I didn't see it clear at the time. There's a host of other things as well. Can you name them that quickly? There's 3 things I could have done.
I could have been much better in all of my romantic relationships for sure. I could have been much better in my marriage, and
How?
more honest, more faithful, more stronger, more aware, more what's the word I'm looking for? When you give and take,
Compromising.
Reciprocal.
That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Yeah, I could have been more reciprocal.
What are some things that you have done that you wish that you didn't,
Um,
or that you've learned from that you would no longer do?
a big one is how I've taken my pain, and I don't want to blame it on that, because
Good for you.
I obviously made the choices, and nobody grabbed my hand and forced me to do these things. These were choices that I made. I think the hardest part is realizing the hurt that I've caused along the way, whether it's in friendships or romantic relationships or with my parents, with my family. There was a lot of, and I don't know if this is something maybe, I mean, there's cameras on us. I want to talk to you like we're not on camera right now, and maybe this is something that you felt too. And I think it's when somebody who is not your mom or your dad, and you go through moments where that exists with them as well. But when someone tells you that they love you, and that their love is unconditional, and that they love you completely, it's very hard to believe it. It's hard to accept it. It's hard to not have defenses up, and then you end up making choices that I and this is kind of this is like therapy. This is the first time I've thought about this, but that maybe you start to make choices so that if that love that's, isn't complete and absolute, it's not going to hurt as much when it's gone. And really what you should be doing is cherishing that and respecting that and nurturing that. But I think that there's, because of, I mean, and I keep saying because of, but I think as, not as a result, I don't want to blame it all.
I
But
appreciate you keep doing
do you
that.
see what I'm
but
trying to say?
yeah, of course. You are wanting to make, I'm really proud of you for doing this. You're not saying I'm this because of this. And at the same time, we are who we are because of what we experience as well.
Right.
So you're not wanting to excuse it.
Yeah.
You are a man that gets to make choices and make right choices. But we make better choices when we're informed from childhood of what those right choices are and not
Yes.
blurred. And some of that has been blurred for you.
Yeah.
So you're trying to explain it. So I appreciate that, but don't get too caught up in that so that you can express
And I think
it.
there's a lot of, when we've been through what we've been through, is trust is such a difficult, because when you're young, I mean, I see it in my son, and it's like, trust is one of the first things that you learn. I mean, you trust that your parents are going to feed you. You trust that your parents are going to change your diaper. You trust that
Protect you.
they're going to protect you. It's immediate. You trust the second that you are born. You trust that your mom is going to hold you, and this is a safe place on her chest the day you were born. And when someone takes advantage of that type of trust at early stages in your life, your defenses just go up, and you no longer, it makes it really difficult to trust anybody. It makes someone not be.
Can I just,
Yeah.
please keep going. Can I just offer one thing?
Yeah.
Can you, instead of saying you, say I? Having done years and years of therapy myself, and I just want to offer that. There's a lot of yous, and we're here to hear about you. And I
Yeah,
just want to, nothing changes, but just if you can just keep that in the back of your
Yeah,
mind.
I think when I, through what I've experienced and when I've had an experience of where trust has been taken advantage of for at such formative times in my life, it makes it really hard for me to trust people when they're trying to do what in the when they have my best interest at heart, or it makes it very difficult to trust when someone tells me they love me, and it causes me to do things that I feel are so out of character for myself, but maybe I'm putting up a wall or a defense mechanism so that when that trust gets broken, like I've experienced, it hurts a little less. And it never
self-sabotage.
does. Yeah, it's self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And it never does hurt less. But in those moments, you're thinking, oh, if that happens,
It's inevitable.
because you really do feel like it's inevitable, and I've had to deal with this a lot. I catastrophize. I hyper focus. I always think of, I can never focus on, well, if this goes right, this will be great. It's always, okay, well, when this goes wrong, put myself in that place so that I'm prepared to deal with it when this happens. Because you always have that feeling of, like you said, and it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I was going to say you again.
Do you see the difference, though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because even hearing you talk about it, just in the last little bit, I just noticed myself go,
Yeah.
Because we don't realize that even as we talk about these things and we say you, it's self-preservation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way to distance myself, in this case, from past behavior for you.
Yeah.
And it's harder to say I than it is to say you, right? Because we're in this position, we're on this podcast, you're a celebrity, you've had influence, and the I is where the healing is in this situation. And not just for you, but for people that are listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're sitting with two people who've also, in a very different way, been victims of a different kind of abuse in relationships, right? Liz and I over here on this side, and both of us very different situations, and yet the I part is healing.
Yeah.
Right. The I part is when I go, I can trust this guy.
Yeah.
Because you're opening yourself up, which is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And so I just offer that, just as you're thinking about this stuff in the future, and as you're on this tour and you're going to be inevitably talking to the world, we're in a very confusing time.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons we started this podcast is because we wanted to have very honest conversations, vulnerable conversations, real conversations, and learn in real time. We've, from the very beginning, been like, I am not perfect. I am far from perfect. If you think I'm perfect, that is your projection on me.
Yeah.
Right? And yet, the internet has context collapse. We read bite-sized headlines. We think whatever we want. You see posts about a certain person, you think that they're perfect, and then boom, you find one thing about them that was bad, and suddenly they're all bad.
Yeah.
Right? It's binary. It's black and white in the world, and we are not black and white.
Yeah.
We are complex individuals that all of us have trauma. All of us have that trauma living in our bodies. It comes out in ways that we don't want. When you talked about that black tar, and the point of all of this is to say there's accountability that needs to happen, maybe publicly, maybe privately. And the I is the secret.
Yeah.
Because the I is what maybe the victims, someone like Liz, would need to hear from you in order to have her nervous system relax around you.
Right.
And then accept the fact and empathize with the fact that, like, oh, you've been abused. The worst things in the world have happened to you. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse whatever the 3 and 5 things you talked about. But at least then I can go, oh, I'm so sorry. I understand you as a human. I'm not that different.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for indulging and
Yeah,
saying
no,
that.
I mean, it's a very, very strong difference feeling when, and you put it in a good way is we're on a public stage and I've been doing this for so many years and, we're media trained and we have this thing. So it is difficult sometimes to reflect on yourself without trying to, like you were saying, put it in a way, okay, wait, how is this going to be picked up tomorrow? And how is this going to be twisted? And really just focusing on who am I and what have I experienced and how am I going to navigate through this? And what are the mistakes that I have made
Yeah.
is much heavier and healing than, you go through these things and, people experience this and
That's
they
right.
might react this way or they might
Yeah.
react this way.
Because
Yeah.
what I don't want as a brother, right, as a fellow
Yeah.
man, is what I don't want are people thinking that you are using your trauma and abuse to come back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you are. And that's why I'm asking you to go deeper.
Yeah.
Because people can tell when someone's media trained.
Mm-hmm.
We are used to the half-assed apologies.
Yeah.
We are used to the people coming on and saying like, I did this, and they put the statement up on their Instagram or whatever it is, or they read the thing, and people can feel it.
Yeah.
And even though everyone is in their own pain, and I have a belief that people when they're in pain want to see others in pain.
Of course.
Which is, I think, what happens with the pile-on system on social media and like boom, boom. Because, there's a lot of people who've been abused or have been victims who've had no power.
Yeah.
And it's the only place that they have power. I'm not excusing it. It's still wrong because all of us are human beings. But it's very hard to do that when someone can feel another person's soul. Because as you said, we're all humans.
Yeah.
It's very hard to punish somebody when they've had remorse for their actions and they say, because we can meet each other there.
Yeah.
Our hearts, our souls can meet each other there. It can transcend everything.
Yeah.
This is the path, I believe, to forgiveness and redemption. This is what's missing in the world, in Hollywood, in social media, in the news. There's a path, but it starts with sincerity.
Yeah.
And accountability. And I believe you have a chance for that. And that's why I just wanted not to help in some way, because this is so fresh, but to offer, like, as you're on this path, like, own it. I think we need to stop listening to the publicists. I think we need to stop listening to everybody who has a paycheck tied to us.
Yeah.
And then say, what would I do if there were no cameras? What if there was no social media? If I hurt you, how do I own that?
Mm-hmm.
I think the world will, I think that's how we change things. And you're in a really unique position. So that's why I was excited when you came on the show.
I want to ask a couple things, but Liz, I know you have been so wonderfully gracious and having a presence in your energy and your spirit and leaving space for mainly Drake and myself to share. And thanks, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything you want to share before I'm?
Yeah. I mean, I've been listening and appreciating this conversation so much. I truly, like, before we, came into on set, I was like, I think you will get a lot out of, like, I think this should have happened whether there's cameras or not. Right?
I was thinking that when he was talking,
Yeah.
I was going, this, and we spoke a little bit off camera. But yeah, this is definitely something I felt that exactly.
Yeah. And as a woman to mirror what or plus one it, I think that as a woman, I feel safe when men are acknowledging their mistakes, not when they're minimizing them or erasing them. And sometimes the erasure of the abuse can be worse than the abuse itself, right? The gaslighting, and in your case, you experienced it firsthand with these letters or with people being silent around this, which I definitely am curious how that's felt. Some people have talked about, these videos resurfacing of Ariana Grande and her still following Dan Schneider on Instagram. What does that sort of do to see people who are powerful or who have influence sort of still remaining silent around that? But I also think that you are, like, your story is so unique, but it's also, I think, something that an experience that a lot of men can relate to, where you were victim and you were perpetrator. I mean, we all, under patriarchy, that's pretty much the deal for men, right? You're hurt by patriarchy. You're hurt by men who exploit your weaknesses or your vulnerability. Then you're taught to not have any vulnerability. And so then you end up taking it out in your romantic relationships on, you didn't say you took it out on women, but if it's your marriage, your romantic relationships, I mean, it's, it looks like the women in your life really, were very supportive and helpful. I loved how you talked about your ex. I think it's always says a lot about a man, the way that he talks about, a woman that he's no longer with. But you also, and there's this, case of child endangerment, which is mentioned in the documentary, but there's not a lot about it. I would love to know, do you feel that dichotomy, of being victim and perpetrator? Is that hard to even sort of fathom? And then how do you approach that, as a man in our society?
Yeah, I think that's comes back to seeing myself act in certain ways and make choices that I feel are so out of character for myself and not who I want to be and not who I want to be in the future. Or but I think that, like you were saying, is you can't minimize who you've hurt and the actions you've taken. You really wow, I'm gonna catch that all the time now. Wow, that's heavy.
That's
really heavy. I have to take accountability for the choices that I've made, and make amends as well. I mean, I sorry, I'm laughing, but you got me on that. You and the eye, man. Wow.
But you know why? I'm on the same journey.
Yeah. It's really heavy because it really makes me really reflect on who I am and what I've been through and what I've put others through. I just know that when I make those choices, that's not who I am, and I want to find out. And like you just said, it's a journey. I want to find out what it is and how I can change or learn from what it is that would cause me to make decisions or treat people a certain way.
So Drake,
Yeah.
can you do something for us?
Yeah.
I feel like you want to go there, so I'm going to help you. Like Justin asked you to say I, and I'm glad it resonated.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of I. It's been part of my healing. And reasonably, and I won't push you beyond where you tell me to stop.
Mm-hmm.
To close one chapter, and we'll come back to it, but what's happened to you as a child is undisputably wrong and needs no explanation. And to your point, Justin, that people will in fact think, or not people, some people might think, is he using this to come back as a platform?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them. I appreciate the question. Anyone who thinks that someone who's been abused uses it to their benefit to make some money, fuck you. No one's experiences what I've experienced, or you, or any of us. And then someone else gets to tell me that when I talk about it, I'm using it to benefit my life. Fuck off. Fuck you. Whoever says that to him.
Yeah.
Fuck you. It's reasonable that you would bring it up because I love that you did, because there are people that will say that. And I've seen some people say that about you.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them. A child is raped and they have the courage to say something about it, regardless of what their agenda is. Let them talk about it and expose it so we can stop it. And if they also reclaim their life and are seen, then so be it. So I hope you are able to reclaim your life, and not that it's not reclaimed. And if you grow more wings because you have expressed it, great. And anyone who says otherwise, fuck them. Sorry for the language over and over again.
No.
Okay. Now, you're a man with your history. And you're making reference to some of the things that you could have done better, but you're very vague. I could have been better in my relationships. Here's how but I can name them. I was not faithful to anybody. My boundaries with sex and relationships were off and caused harm and pain to, not off like I was abusive, but emotionally not okay to have someone feel like they were used, or the men that I hurt because the women in their life, I mean, but I can name it so that I can own it, so that someone else may also say, like, I'm owning it. What are you comfortable with sharing so that I can lead to this next one?
You and I are, we share a lot. I absolutely could have been more faithful in relationships.
Okay, so that's one, faithful.
Mm-hmm.
How else? Something else besides faithfulness.
I mean, I hate to just repeat what you just said, but it resonates with me so much and is so much a part of my story. I think that that lines being blurred is a really big one for me, and not realizing
That they were blurred.
that they were blurred, and not realizing the impact that those actions would have on other people at the time.
Okay, so then let me bring it to this now. And forgive me for doing so, but there are people that know what's out in the world and the news, and I don't want us to just dismiss them. You were convicted of child endangerment. It's a broad thing that a lot of people don't know what that could mean, what that includes. From what I understand, this is you as a man now, were engaged in what? Some sort of Instagram conversation with somebody, or what? What
Yeah, it
what
was
did that mean?
conversations over Instagram, yeah.
Okay. With someone that was underage?
Yes.
Did you know they were underage?
No.
Okay. But she claims that you did.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, she claims a lot of things.
Okay. And so then you, I'm sorry to bring this up, but it's here.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to dispute and highlight all of it because I don't know what's true, honestly. I know I lied a lot. Took me a long time to finally say, like, actually what I was saying 5 years ago was not exactly true.
Right.
Because of fear and because of whatever else. So no offense to you. You could be telling not the whole truth. Or you might be, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know. So this is why we have conversations, so we can help with that. So, but what your story is that you didn't know, okay, when you found out that she was underage, then you blocked her.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any accountability in that?
Absolutely.
Okay, what?
Irresponsibility. I could have, I
Help all of us who are watching.
I think I was engaging in behaviors that I shouldn't have engaged in. I think that I was not,
Is this where your boundaries are blurred?
yeah, I think that
Was it that you kind of knew that maybe she's younger, maybe she's not, but you just kind of turned a blind eye?
No, I think that it was conversations that shouldn't have happened at all. I mean,
You mean regardless of age?
I think so.
Okay,
I think,
but if they were 20 years old and you were 25 years old, then you can have whatever conversations you're with and nobody cares, right? It's just like sexual or
yeah, but I
whatever it is.
still think that I still think that I should take responsibility for, I mean, this is just somebody that was
A fan.
online or taking, and maybe that's another way to look at it, did I feel like I was in a position where this person was a fan of mine or something,
We're using your power
or
over
A woman.
yeah, and
A girl. Yeah.
and maybe not realizing that at the time, but I think in hindsight, maybe that played a
Give me
played a
something
role.
concrete. This is what I'm asking.
Yes.
What's going to happen if we end our conversation right now? There's going to be people listening and be like, oh, he was so open about and talked about what happened to him as a child. Once we got to this stuff, I don't really know what to do with it. Liz, who's the most sweetest, forgiving, compassionate, and loves men and is forgiving to what we do, but also holds us accountable in the ways that we can be better.
Yeah.
I don't want her to walk away from this with all the compassion she will for you, but also be like, I'm unclear about this.
Yeah.
Help give clarity, because the rest of the world is also those eyes who are watching you over the next month, 2, 3, 4 months, talking about this horrific stuff that happened in your childhood, but you are also being pointed at in another way.
Yeah.
So the more vague you are with it, it doesn't bring clarity.
I think that that's what's difficult about is being painted in a way where, and I think that's why I get hung up on my words, and I get it because for the past 2 years I've been called something that I'm not, and something that was perpetrated upon me.
An abuser? A pedophile?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've been being called that for the past 2 years, and
because of this situation.
Because of the situation, and it's really difficult because where yes, I engaged in conversations I shouldn't have engaged in, but it's a very hard parallel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then let's help clean it up. You get an Instagram following from somebody. They message you or you message them?
They messaged me.
Okay. They message you with just a normal hello like most people?
Yeah.
Then you respond with, like we all do, you look at their profile, see she's cute, she's such and such, she looks like a woman. What? Did she look like a kid?
No. She, on the Instagram page, she was smoking, was drinking with friends.
There were some sexual conversations. Were there pictures?
No.
Okay.
I want to hear the story in your own words.
Okay. So I engaged in conversations with someone online. They were presenting themselves as someone who I would be able to engage with. And later on in the messages, I started to feel uncomfortable and uneasy. And so I kept asking, and then I finally was like, something doesn't seem right here. How old are you? And then she had told me, and that's when I stopped communication and said we couldn't talk anymore. And a lot of the things that were said in the statement later at my sentencing were new things that were never brought up in originally. And I don't know why. I had a phone call with my attorney at one point, and I was going through an exhaustive investigation. I was trying to just stay upright. It was just grueling. And having my phones taken from me and computers, and they're subpoenaing my social media messages and reading everything that I've ever sent to anyone. And I got a phone call after a lot of the witnesses had been interviewed, and I broke down. I broke down, and because I felt I felt like I wasn't even being believed by my attorneys at certain points. And when the witness reports came to light, it was the most, I literally was in my driveway of my house, and I just fell, and I just started crying, and I was like, finally.
So you basically were convicted of sexting with a minor before you knew she was a minor.
Yeah.
Because that's still illegal.
Yes.
Where'd you go wrong? Let's go to that.
Yeah, that takes me back to engaging in behaviors that shouldn't have happened at all. And
can you be clear about that?
Yeah.
Engaging in behaviors that shouldn't have been wrong at all in terms of
I shouldn't have been engaging in a conversation of that
nature
with anyone that I wasn't 100% sure who they were, that they wanted to engage in conversations like that, that they were just that I knew them, that I had a personal relationship with, that I had more than just an online experience with, all of the above. I think it was a really poor lapse in judgment. And I hate to use, some people have said, oh, it was, a moment of weakness. It was, because it's no, I mean, it was, even in moments of weakness, you need to be able to discern and recognize, like, you can't just blame a moment of weakness of why you got in your car when you were drunk and you crashed into somebody and hurt them. Oh, it was just a moment of weakness. I was really sad that day, or I was really upset. Something had happened in my life, and that's what caused. So even though we have had these traumas and we've had things that we've experienced, I hate to say, oh, that's why, because that's not going to help. That's not going to help me move forward and change my behavior. That's not going to help me recognize when I feel like making a decision that might harm someone else or harm myself, that I can just feel like, oh, I can just fall back on it was a moment of weakness, or I can fall back on, oh, well, I've been hurt, so I can.
So that means that
you own that you should have never been texting her in the first place.
100%.
And that there was a power dynamic, maybe.
100%.
And what you're saying by lapse of judgment isn't, I guess what I'm trying to make a distinction, which I hear you saying, but for clarity, this was not a blurred line for you in terms of, had you known from the jump that this person was underage, would you have still been tempted to text?
No.
Okay. So that means what you're acknowledging is you shouldn't have been in this position. You should have had better discernment, better thoroughness. If there was a spidey sense on you, it was like, oh, I should check. You should have done all that before continuing on, but not because you were interested in someone that was of this age group.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
So that wasn't the lapse of judgment.
No, that wasn't the lapse of judgment. The lapse of judgment is engaging in any type of conversation like that with anybody that you are not in a relationship with, that you are connected to, that you,
Hi.
Oh, that I'm that I'm in a relationship with, that I'm connected to, that I share all of that with already on a personal level.
Okay.
That is absolutely the mistake.
Look, I think we can call a spade a spade. One of the byproducts of trauma that you've experienced, and again, not an excuse, is boundary.
Yeah.
There's boundary issues.
Mm-hmm.
And even the data is the data. 30% of all men who have been abused become abusers. So, but that's like to the extreme.
Yeah.
Right? And when you've had your power taken away in the way that you have, the way that Jamey has, the data also shows that one of the ways that victims of that type of abuse and trauma get their power back is sexually. Yeah. So I imagine you engaging in that behavior had to do with you wanting to feel powerful, which stems back to what Liz was saying, which is when you had your power taken from you, when you live in this society, you want to gain your power back, and you were in a position of celebrity, and there's maybe an attractive person, and boom. I don't know how many times that happened.
I think there's something to when it comes to like bringing it back to what you were saying, is there's also a feeling of maybe gaining my not just not power, but my sense of manhood back.
Tell me about that.
Because I was victimized in a way and hurt by an older man that I had no interest in being a part of that situation, that I think that there's something that I've taken with me where I feel like maybe I won't be desired by who I want to be desired by. Because this older man has done this to me, and it's taken that part of me away that might be attractive to who I would like to be with. And I think that a lot of those blurred lines come from grasping onto any part of, oh, there's something in me that's
Desirable.
Well, it's a way to reaffirm your masculinity in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because it was taken away from you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we live in a homophobic society. We live in a society where, being gay or participating in anything that is remotely associated to that means that you're not a real man. And so, in a way, do you feel like you've been compensating, sometimes
I think that's
for
a good way to put it. And that's what it is feeling, oh, there's something inside of me, something that I'm conveying that is attractive. And that's something that I thought has been stolen from me. And so I think that
It's like a drug.
it's and it becomes I have to grab onto that whenever I feel that. Oh, I have to grab onto that. Okay. This person likes me. Oh, okay.
And that's got to be a hard position for a young man to be in, with so many fans that are also young and old, but because you want to be desired, and suddenly all these thousands of girls and women want to desire you. I mean, that's got to be really tricky. It's a very unique set of circumstances for somebody
and
who's
I think
been
that it's
in your
also,
position.
but I think that there's also a difference between the feeling of, because when you go out on stage, when I go out on stage, and I just played a concert not a couple of nights ago, and there's 50,000 screaming people, and you're feeling desired, and or that are showing you love and showing you this. But as soon as you walk off the stage, you're back into that I'm alone. Am I really receiving the one-on-one connection that I feel that I've lost, or that I don't have the ability to attain? Because I think a lot of people would think, oh, well, you go out on stage and there's all these people screaming for you. Like, well, there's the feeling you've been looking for. It's right there. Like, it doesn't sink in. It doesn't give you what you feel has been taken from you.
It can't, because you don't feel like you're enough.
Yeah.
So nothing will ever fill that. And I speak from experience.
I think one of the ways that you get there is what you're doing now. You're talking about it, putting less restrictions and handcuffs on yourself to not only talk about what happened to you as a kid, but what you, how that affected you as an adult and the choices you make, and to be able to talk about it more freely, loose some of those chains, that just, and learning new language will be a part of your own healing.
Yeah.
Will be a part of those who listen to you, their healing. Will be a part of what people are saying about you from these accusations, and some that you're acknowledging that you played a part in, and some that are like, absolutely not, that wasn't mine where I was.
Yeah.
And people are trying to figure out where they land with that.
Yeah.
Part of what will help them land somewhere is how you articulate it, your comfort in it, your accountability as you're demonstrating, but also your command of the language of words.
Yeah.
And you only get that from talking about it.
Totally.
To actually take this even one step further, so the name of your accuser has been leaked on TikTok, and some of your fans are going after her. What would be your message to your fans?
I would just want to say to absolutely 100% stop. Do not go on the attack. That is not the best way. If you're feeling that that's a way to defend me or to be in my corner, that is not the correct way to go about that. If you want to be in my corner and you want to feel that you're supporting me, and you're angry over this situation, then show it through love and compassion. Maybe going and supporting other survivors instead of attacking people. And that's going to be a much healthier way to feel that you are defending and supporting somebody than going and trying to cause pain and hurt to someone else. Is just not, that's just not right.
Why are you emotional right now? What's coming up for you?
Because I've felt so much pain and I feel like a lot of pain has been inflicted on me, especially from the abuse that I've endured, that it breaks my heart, and it's a physical reaction when I feel that others could be feeling that same pain or feeling those same emotions, and because someone's inflicting words or actions upon them, that just doesn't sit well with me. It brings up all of my pain, and then I feel that I don't want anyone to feel that. And so it's really hard.
And you saying what you said is going to help. Not just this person, but many other people. Stop that cycle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you, I think you probably got a long road ahead of you. There's no quick out, right? There's doing the work, being accountable every single moment, no matter what's happened to you, being accountable not to what happened to you as a kid. I think you hold no accountability to that. Zero.
That's a learning. That's a
1,000%. I'm going to keep telling you that as long as we're connected.
Yeah.
I blamed myself for years.
It's
and
a
years,
long time to get through that.
thinking that you had a part of it.
Yeah.
That you somehow are responsible.
Or that you deserved it.
Well, deserved it.
That's a big one too.
1,000, and also just like, because there's this weird thing that sex feels good. Being touched, not being raped.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this weird thing at a certain age. It's like, whoa, what the fuck do I do with this? Like, this is the worst thing happening to me. And yet it's playing with the feeling that also is a sensation of joy or good feelings. And then there's all this shit that happens. So there's blaming and self.
And what people have a hard time understanding, from my understanding of it, is that just because a terrible thing is happening to you, it doesn't mean that your body is not responding favorably. So your body can respond sexually to something, even though it's being attacked. And that's a very hard thing for people to really understand when it comes to sexual abuse and assault.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, well, if it was happening to you, then why did you have an erection or something?
Yeah.
And this is another part of victim blaming and victim shaming that this needs to stop.
Yeah. And then, so there's that. So I'm imagining that this road for you, because it's fresh and now you're in the line of fire at the moment, and hopefully less in the line of fire and also in the line of causing some healing for people, both because of your talking about your childhood and also talking about your adulthood and how you can be better will be healing. But it's going to be a journey, right? Mm-hmm. And the more that you do what you're doing, brother, I think that we can not let horrible things be completely in vain. Not that you're a martyr, not that you're like something, but that it doesn't have to be in vain, so that if in fact there are more and more that are healed and it stops cycles because of you being willing to walk through the fire, then at least there's something that can come from that.
Yeah, and I think that's something that has taken a long time to learn, is that what happened to me doesn't have to define who I am moving forward. It doesn't have to destroy me, because those are what you think, that's what you live with for your whole life, is this has absolutely destroyed me. this is who I am now. And what am I, and
What are you going to do with it?
what am I going to do with it? Exactly.
And you said something earlier too that I just wanted to address, and then I'll be done, at least, because not done, but
yeah.
I think I will have exhausted my voice. You know that you talked about this, we talked about these blurred lines. What happens when I was a kid, I was the 3 different people that abused me. All loved me.
Mm-hmm.
Or so, showed me love.
Yeah.
And also there's betrayal happening. And when I finally got to an age older, I was with the therapist, and she said to me, because I had been every relationship that I loved, there was betrayal. Like tangible betrayal. And yet I loved him.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, what's wrong with me? How am I this broken that I keep hurting people that I love? And I was talking to this therapist, and she was like, let's go through your history. So you, when you were this age with this person who loved you on one hand and was betraying you, and this person loved you on one hand, so you thought, you have been wired to think that love and betrayal coexist, that they go hand in hand. That's
a heavy concept.
So is it any wonder that as an adult, you're experiencing love and you can betray them, and that line is really blurred for you. You experienced a whole life. These people told you they loved you. They took care of you. They fed you and dressed you and abused you.
Yeah.
And so on as they got older. So I wonder if that for you can resonate, and recognizing that I need to unblur those lines, that love and betrayal don't actually coexist.
Yeah, no, that resonates big time.
I mean, they do. We make them coexist, but
Yeah.
they should not be
They
just
shouldn't. Yeah.
and maybe that's what prevents us. And I have to think about this honestly all of the time still.
Mhm.
It's wired in me. At any given day, I can betray my wife. So I remind myself that it's wired, and I don't want to fall victim to what I've been in the past.
Yeah.
I don't want you to. So you have to constantly, daily just remember, even though I'm wired, I have to make sure I have to constantly keep these 2 walls apart.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much, all 3 of you, and this conversation so much. I feel like I'm part of I'm in a vortex of compassion and vulnerability and accountability, and just and I know this is really hard, and you're being really brave. Thank you. What struck me, honestly, watching the documentary, and what angered me was silence. I just was silence is so loud, and was so loud back then, and when all of this was happening, but it also feels loud now. And again, not to harp on it, but just how are you, just with the, people not reaching out to you and apologizing to you, or apologizing publicly but not privately?
Well, to react to that, I don't, and that's another thing that is happening online. I'm seeing a lot of, well, why aren't you speaking out? You need to say something. You need to, and that is absolutely the wrong approach.
Can't
because
shame people into talking.
You can't shame people into talking. Everyone experiences these things differently, and maybe some people didn't have bad experiences with somebody that you had a bad experience with, so it might take them a little more time to go, wait a second. And it's different in my case, where this person is pleading guilty to these crimes, and you're saying, I'm aware of that, but he's a great guy.
Yeah.
That's not being silent. That's not taking your time to soak everything in, look at everything. How is this affecting me and my relationship with this person? What I thought this person was like. That's saying, yeah, I know, but it's fine because he's a really great guy, to me.
Right.
And so that's, if there were people doing that, then I could understand people going, hey, hold on. But to try and shame people because they haven't said something yet, or that's not them being complicit in any of this. That's them processing this really heavy information.
Right.
And that's important, what you just said there.
Yeah.
I love that you can recognize. That's really important.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right. I think from an outsider perspective, I'm like, if I worked with someone and like 1% of what happened to you happened to them while we were in the same workplace, I would have, I just think it just surprises me. But I'm with you on, I the compassion.
There's a lot of processing and reflecting that has to go on privately, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, I would just give more time.
Yeah,
give
we're
more
expecting
time.
people to, instantaneously.
Exactly.
Right. And you're right. It's a lot,
lot
to process.
We're not, in general, I don't think people are processing much. We just
react.
Go to social media, react.
Exactly.
And it's
fair.
All right,
Exactly.
I got a couple questions, and then I think we're gonna end this. So the first question I want to know, and I'm sure listeners would want to know, is, okay, this just happened. You're processing all of this in real time. You're learning in real time, even as you have the last couple hours, right? You haven't arrived yet. When you sat down, this is one of the problems, one of the things I've had to deal with my whole life. I literally could feel I had your anxiety in me.
Mm-hmm.
I just went, something that I walk with this every day, and I'm so I feel you. What are you doing right now, tomorrow, the next day? What are you doing to heal, to take care of yourself, and to make sure that some of the ways that you've acted out in the past never happens again? What are you doing to create a safe space and make yourself a safe place so that everyone in your life can then feel safe?
Well, a lot of therapy.
What's that look like?
What do you mean?
The majority of men have no idea they've never been to a therapist.
So
I'm just like, what does that look like?
It's so there's been points where I'm going 3 days a week. There's points where I'm going once a week. But it's something that has to continue. It's not something where you go for a certain amount of time. It's like going to the doctor and it's like, okay, well, once you're done with this medication, you're healed and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So it's a constant thing, and it's unwrapping and going really deep into things that happened even prior to my abuse that I didn't realize had profound effects on me. My parents' divorce, that also had a profound effect on how I evolved in relationships growing up.
So you're doing a lot of therapy, especially right now, because it's raw.
Yeah, because it's raw. Keeping people close to you, keeping a very small group of people close to you close to me, that I trust will build me up in moments that I'm doing well, but that also will. I mean, this has happened recently. That'll grab me and say, hey, I'm scared for you right now. Your behavior, you seem like you might fall. So I don't like seeing this. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm going to, come to your house right now, and I'm going to sit down with you, and we're going to go through this.
So you have accountability partners.
Yeah, exactly. Like people who, because growing up, and especially in this industry, it's very hard when we've been through what we've been through to be alone and to be okay with being alone. And so you surround yourself with so many people all the time. It's like, it's a comfort mechanism. It's like, okay, there's a ton of people around. Okay, I'm good. And then you start attracting, there's people that
people
are
feeders,
just along for the ride. They just want to
suck out of you.
Yeah. And that's inevitably a bad place to be. But when I have my group of friends or my family smaller and will hold me accountable and will and have no problem telling me I'm stumbling, but in a way that is with love and is with grace and is with understanding, you have a tendency to not be like, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. Get away. Like, I'm fine. You can accept it more. And you have to trust that these people have your best interest and also have no ulterior motives or anything, but to see you healthy and happy. And so that's a very important one, because it took a long time for me to trust people in an intimate way where I can be actually open and they can be honest with me. And it's also been a long journey of being okay just being alone and not having my thoughts racing and my emotions filling up and feeling like I need to be distracted, like just being okay, being at home, cooking dinner. I do Legos a lot. I've discovered that like Legos really, maybe because I'm so hyper focused but but there's in my past I could never imagine just being at home building a Lego set by myself. I mean, I would just be so, what's going on? Oh, and this and the, and it really takes my mind and just lets me focus and do things that, I don't have to. It's taken a long time for me to just be able to be at home listening to music, watching a TV show, and being able to focus on the plot.
To me, that makes a lot of sense,
a big thing.
even therapeutically,
Mm-hmm.
because from watching the documentary and learning about you, you never had the chance to play with Legos.
Yeah.
You were a young boy in an industry of adults. You grew up on sets with cameramen and directors and auditioning all the time. Seems like you never got a chance to play with the Legos. And now, in some ways, you're getting that chance at this age.
You're reparenting yourself.
And I would encourage, as a brother, to keep, when those things come up, it's like, why do I want to do Legos? Just do it.
Yeah.
Because the little Drake in there is just screaming to be loved and to feel protected. And you're the only one that can do that for him. So I love that you're playing with Legos.
I'm building Legos. I'm not playing.
Okay, sorry.
I don't really play with them very much. I more so build them.
I want to also say that this conversation is why we started the podcast.
Yeah.
To learn how to stay in the room. And you stayed in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's one of the hardest things to do. To sit there, to listen, to take it, to not get defensive when I said I or we, and to be open enough to like choose to learn and not to just put up your shields, because you could have.
Yeah.
And this would have been a very different conversation. And we didn't know what we were going to get from Drake. Like we were like, we don't know what's going to happen. And we know that we have to address some of these uncomfortable things.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I'm really grateful for the example that you've given today, because it couldn't have been easy. I promise you're going to have a vulnerability hangover.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to leave here and you're going to wonder, did I fuck it up? Did I share too much? What did I do? Am I going to get torn apart? And I just encourage you to just sit with it and to remind yourself that you did beautifully. And what you did today will actually be very healing, I believe, for people that have been in your situation, and also people that have been on the other end of the situation that maybe you were or were not a part of. It's an important step for men to see another man do what you did today. Mm-hmm. And I honor you.
Walk through it.
And I thank you.
I mean,
for
that's
that.
what I hope. I hope that can come out of this.
You keep getting up every day. Don't hide. I'm proud of you for being able to stay in the room, to be uncomfortable and also be comfortable, to be challenged in different ways. You can see us trying to navigate. We want to be really protective of you and mindful of your wounds, and also hold each other accountable for how we can be better. And that's a tough balance to do those two things. But thanks for hanging in there. And if you need friends, we are here. I'm sure you've got many. Let me offer you
Well, you
this in
can't
case you
abandon
haven't.
me after this conversation.
No, we will
guys.
not.
Going anywhere, buddy.
But I hope that you do this.
I
Drake.
mean,
This is really important for you. Find somebody, if you haven't already, that you tell, listen to me close. all of the truth in detail. All of it. Because most likely what happens, speak for myself, but many, I've been in a lot of programs, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're constantly navigating how is that going to look? Write it out for yourself and share it with another individual. I've actually done this.
Mm-hmm.
I've done this. I liked this. I hated this. I don't care, whatever it is, that knows the whole truth. And then you can every day look about how much am I willing to then expose out. But at least you're not hiding from yourself. You're not convincing yourself of a narrative that's maybe not fully accurate.
Right.
I'm not saying you haven't done this, but I would bet that you haven't because most of us don't.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to even face our ugly truths, our own doing truth. So like, not just what happened to you, but I'm talking about how you have existed in the world.
Yeah.
I hope that you really find that safe person or two, really at least one, put it all out there. And then determine later on how much you expose out.
And Jamey and I are also here. We're not abandoning you.
Whew.
Nor Liz as well. I know it. We all are here. But yes, very proud of you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank
The
you.
world is complicated. Humans are complicated. One of the things my wife says that I always repeat is the hardest thing to do is human with other humans.
Yeah.
All of us
Big
are weird
time.
and crazy
Big
and
time.
messed up, and we all have trauma, and we all act out our traumas in different ways. And there's a reason that every religious teacher, every prophet, every sage who's ever walked the face of the earth says a version of the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is do unto others, which is don't judge.
Mm-hmm.
Don't throw stones at glass houses. In our faith, the Baha'i faith, breathe not the sins of others so long as thou art thyself a sinner. Abdu'l-Baha in our faith says, before you judge somebody else, look in the mirror and see if you can find a fault in yourself. If you find no faults, then judge.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. We're all complex. Stories are never black and white. And no human is ever just good or just bad. And I just want to say that because it's something that I see happening so much in the world is we just want to put people in a good or a bad category.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know if it's therapeutic for people. It's like, oh, well, they're good and then they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but then they did that one bad thing. So that one bad thing makes that good person bad. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
We're complex. And I see you and I honor you. And I can imagine how hard it's been for you. And I thank you for being here and for staying in the room and for sharing your heart.
Yes, sir.
And
Well, thank you guys.
and you are enough, man.
Thank you.
You are indeed.
You really are.
Thank you.
So let's wrap up with our final question. What does it mean to you to be man enough?
Well, I'll take something from what you just said is being able to be honest with yourself so that you're able to be honest with others. I think that being man, that's such a hard, well,
I mean, that's a great
that's a
answer.
great
That's a great answer.
That's actually a great
Yeah.
answer. Because, and
Yeah.
and what else? And I'm going to answer for you. What you did today.
What you did today?
What you demonstrated today.
well,
That's
thank
man.
you.
We all have a job. Every person listening to this, not just man, has a responsibility to reparent themselves, to work on their healing, to be honest with themselves, and in general, to find a way to be a safe place. Because if us, I'm going to use men, and I say this a lot, if we can't learn how to be safe spaces for ourselves, then the world will never be a safe space for anybody. And no one
Exactly.
around us will ever feel safe.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's why we're here. That's why we do the show. And thank you so much for listening to this. If you made it through this episode, this was I mean, talk about coming back to an
Yeah.
episode.
I was thinking about
thank you
that,
for
Justin.
staying, and thank you for
Yeah.
choosing. You chose
Yeah.
to be here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
It means a lot.
Yeah,
Does.
that was a lot.
All right.
I'm looking forward to that vulnerability hangover.
I'm sure it's already happening.
Those Legos on hand.
All right. So where do they find us if you want to listen to more?
Man Enough /podcast, wherever you get your podcast. We're on YouTube if you want to watch us and see Justin's Canadian tuxedo situation.
God.
We are everywhere, and we love to see you in our community on Instagram, on TikTok, and all the next social media platform that comes out between the time that we record this and it airs.
Until we see you next time, thanks for joining us. This is
the Man Enough podcast. He's Jamey Heath. I'm
Liz.
Justin Baldoni, and you are
Liz Plank.
That's right. Well done, Justin.
All right, we
well
got it.
done. We'll see you next time.